Hello, everyone. My name is Holden Madagami, and I'm here with Julie Wyma.
Hi.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about the AIDS Quilt Songbook, a benefit concert that's happening in Berlin. So, just to start off, where are you from?
I grew up in Arizona, in a small-ish town called Prescott. My whole childhood was spent in Arizona, as well as my undergraduate degree in Tucson.
In Tucson. And what did you study?
I studied voice performance. I started out in a very short-lived and ill-advised, no, it was enjoyable, but not meant to be, biochemistry major.
And when did you come to Berlin then?
I came to Berlin in February of 2013.
Now, a little bit about the AIDS Quilt Songbook. So what is it, actually?
The AIDS Quilt was a folk art collection that was made in the 1980s as a response to the AIDS crisis, and a bunch of artists got together and designed and created quilts, quilt squares, whole quilts. There are hundreds, if not thousands of them. The AIDS Quilt Songbook was a companion piece that was initiated by William Parker. I think inspired by the AIDS quilt, decided to ask a bunch of composers to write pieces that would then become a collection of songs that would parallel the quilt, in that it's a collection from different artists, from different composers, different poets. Beyond that, I don't know that there were many parameters. There are some pieces which are very directly related to AIDS or to either a personal experience with AIDS or the loss of someone to AIDS. All of them are incredible pieces on their own.
Do you have a favorite piece from the songbook?
Ooh, yes. It's the first one. It's the one that introduced me to the songbook. When I was in second graduate school in Indiana, my friend Matt sang a piece called Walt Whitman in 1989. Very, very soon after that, I had the notion to create an actual staged performance of the songbook. It's not something that's typically done with art song. I know that there have been staged versions of, I think, the Dichterliebe or Winterreise, but it's not something that you see done very often with art song. Usually it's presented in a recital format. But there's such drama to most of these pieces.
Absolutely.
They tell such a story, both within themselves and in the arc of the songbook, that many of them, I think, are just crying out for a physical interpretation. The reason to do it in Berlin comes really from finally feeling like I'm in the right place at the right time and with the right people. The organization that the proceeds from this will be going to, the Berlin Aids-Hilfe, is so integrated into the city. They provide services for so many people who are living with HIV, people who are trying not to contract HIV, people who have medical needs, people who have emotional, psychological needs. We have assembled an incredible group of people. The Berliner Opernverein, which translates to Berlin Opera Collective, is a group of artists and non-artists, actually, who joined together to create what we consider great art. As the group has evolved, it has become a group that aims to produce socially impactful works as well. This particular project, I feel, is a really beautiful combination of the two.
Absolutely.
We are producing beautiful music while at the same time producing a socially important message and using the proceeds from that to benefit an organization which does really very important work in the community.
This combination you're talking about is something that I find really impressive and also really refreshing as well, because it doesn't it feels very meaningful. It is, of course, very meaningful, but it's not just meaningful because we're putting on a concert for charity, but also it is such beautiful music and it's so touching. When I was listening to so many of the pieces, I just start crying and or laughing or
I still have
screaming.
that reaction 10 years after having been introduced to it.
It's incredible music. It's not music that was thrown together to put on a benefit concert for the greater good. It's we're first of all creating really meaningful art to connect to people on this topic. Hopefully we will have a lot to donate to the Berlin Aids-Hilfe, but connecting to people and talking to people and affecting people on this topic is so important, because I don't know the statistics, but like there's people sometimes act like people don't get AIDS anymore. I
was just thinking about that this morning. We're not really talking about it that much anymore. And I think the fact that we have incredible antiretroviral drugs, people understand the disease. There's been so much research done. There have been, brilliant scientists who have poured their lives into finding solutions that we don't think about people dying from AIDS anymore. And so I think it's easy to get the impression that it's not a problem anymore. But according to World Health Organization estimates, there are still over 36 million people living with HIV. And yes, the death rate has gone down drastically from where it was at its peak, but there are still about 1 million people dying from AIDS every year.
That's not insignificant.
It's not insignificant. It's still a really big deal.
And even more people are affected by it, even if they're not dying from it.
Right. It's not just that 1 million people we're talking about. It's all of their families. It's their communities. It's their friends. There are still a lot of people who live in places where AIDS is still contracted frequently, and access to healthcare, antiretrovirals, all of the things that prevent people from dying of AIDS are not easily accessible and incredibly expensive. Those treatments, as wonderful as they are still not universally provided. Yeah, I think all that to say, it's still a really big deal.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about why the concert is on December 1st?
Yes. December 1st is World AIDS Day. It began in 1988 as a day of awareness of the disease, and really a day for global awareness of the disease and its impact.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And could you tell everyone when the concert is, where the concert is, all that jazz?
Yes. Okay, all the details. The night of November 30th, we will be having a vigil to remember the lives of those lost to AIDS, to honor people currently living with the disease. We will be posting specific locations on our website, www.berliner.opernverein.com.
I'll also put a link below.
Perfect. But it will be in the Nollendorfstr area. On December 1st, there will be 2 concerts, one at 4 o'clock and one at 8 o'clock in the evening at the Ballery, which is on Nollendorfstr, so just a block south of the U-Bahn station. And those concerts will benefit the Berlin Aids-Hilfe. So as many tickets as we can sell to that, the more money we can donate to Berlin Aids-Hilfe.
And we'll both be there.
Yes, we'll both be singing. One more detail is that we have kept our costs to a minimum in order to be able to give the greatest possible donation to Berlin Aids-Hilfe, but we do still need to cover costs. And so there is a crowdfunding campaign on GoFundMe. It's already up and running, and we covet your donations for that. And there's a fundraising event on November 20th at Studio Knudsen in Steglitz, and the details for that can also be found on our website, which will be posted below.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.